Hey, son, everyone. Good afternoon in the sauna. Fortunately, I'm Swedish, so I'm quite used to hot climates, or at least steamy saunas. All right, so I love the sequence from Gnosis Pay to then talk about ramping with Monerium, and then one of the most famous wallets. I work with wallets as well, and explain why I'm so excited about it. I'm the founder and one of the zealots building Zeal, which is a permission-free wallet. I will use the word permission-free somewhat interchangeably with self-custodial, because I think permission-free is a benefit, and self-custody is by many perceived as an obligation. And that's what we're building at Zeal. We're building a permission-free wallet for daily life. And I will make a case for why we need more permission-free wallets for daily life. But since we're the new kid on the block, we've been building for a bit more than a year now. I will just present some of our street creds. We're 11 people. A lot of us, 7 of us, are from Revolut, where we did spend a lot of time working on everyday payments and spending for your daily life. But also Spotify and Coinbase. And these are two industries that have also seen a change from an old incumbent industry that wasn't embracing the digital habits of people. When we talk first about music, people were forced to buy plastic pieces to listen to music. On the banking side, people were forced to go to high street offices to do their banking errands. But both of these industries were changed and allowed people to do them from the comfort of their phones. And that was enabled by a lot of fundamental technologies being in place, from mobile adoption to bandwidth. And I think we are at a similar inflection point now when it comes to Web3 wallets. For quite some time, there was a lot of talk about transaction fees, and moving money in and out of crypto was also quite of a hassle. But a lot of these things are now actually solved problems. And we're getting to the point where it's possible to wrap these technologies with great UX around it and deliver great products. And that's why I'm so excited, and especially many of the things we heard about today, like Gnosis Pay and Monerium, are enabling technologies from this. We have scaling solutions that allow you to basically disregard the transaction fees on different networks, which also, a while back, wasn't really seen as something feasible. But this change is coming at a point where the global economy is seeing some challenges. The last couple of years, if anything, should be seen as a tailwind for Web3 and what we are building here. US monetary supply is done at 10x. If that was a token, someone would be very happy, but now it's the supply. We've seen central banking also having its day in the sun, and banks like Silicon Valley Bank collapsing on the back of some mismanaged risks and aggressive practices. And of course, our own sector has not been unscathed when it comes to mismanagement of risk with FTX. Although I would say that probably my more favorite example of problems in the last couple of years that reinforced the need for what we here are building is the Canadian trucker protests, which was an example of weaponization of the financial system to quell freedom of speech, where Canadian truckers didn't want to get vaccinated. And in response to that, their financial accounts were frozen. And when they managed to get support from friends and family, the accounts of their friends and family were frozen as well. And this was not totalitarian in North Korea or China. This was Justin Trudeau in a democratic society. This was not Vladimir Putin. And so when these things happen in places that many probably wouldn't expect them to happen, it should be a wake-up call and a clear signal for us to take heed of it. The powers that we give to the people that are in power today shouldn't be judged whether the people whose policies we like should have them, but rather the day when people whose policies we do not like are in charge, are we okay with them having those powers? So we basically have multiple things stacking up with record inflation, implosion of banks, freedom of speech being silenced by banks and the government. So that's all fine, right? Well, it's a perfect storm, and really what we are building here, permission-free finance and self-custodial wallets, what it was built for, to be able to handle these things. 15 years ago, we got the Bitcoin white paper. We all know it. It took some time before it started to get more traction. And it's a similar backdrop that created that back then that we see now, today. So I think it's important to remember that freedom is not a default. It's not a singular trajectory that societies go to achieve freedom of speech and freedom. If we want to protect our freedoms, we have to do so through actions. If builders don't build, then change doesn't happen. We visited the moon 50 years ago, and then we didn't go back, and now we forgot how to go there. If builders don't take charge and build things, then it won't happen. And crypto, I don't think, is the default path. It's something that we have to make happen, and we are making happen now. And that's why it's so exciting, these important changes in front of us. So we have a moral imperative to build wallets that allow people to use their assets for their daily lives. But also, I am a pragmatist, and quite often moral arguments don't work. So we also have to look at the economic arguments. Self-custody, as I said, is often seen as an obligation rather than a benefit for many. But there are other important value props that drive towards the economic reasons, right? So peer-to-peer payments is a more efficient way to exchange value without intermediaries or custodians. It lets trading parties pay less fees and keep more money for themselves. Gnosis Pay earlier today showed us the fat payment stack of fees involved whenever a transaction is made. And if we are driving a change towards more peer-to-peer transactions, whether that is between individuals or companies and individuals or between companies, that means that fewer fees are lost in that value exchange. And they can go back to customers, whether they're companies or people, as lower fees or other benefits. On a first principle basis, a peer-to-peer exchange is more efficient. So we have a moral and economic imperative to build permission-free wallets. How are we doing on that front? The original promise of cryptocurrencies and Bitcoin, and eventually much more than that, was finance, right? Permission-free payments. It started as a financial revolution, but recently there's a lot more attention given, and of course media feeds into this because it's more lucrative to talk about the crypto casino with JPEGs and meme coins. And there are a lot more good wallets coming out that are being built, but most of the wallets that come out today are focused around the trading use case. It's a lot of Trade Republic for Web3 or Robinhood or Free Trade for Web3 kind of builds, right? Which is a valid use case, but we also need more builds for everyday finance. Wallets that let you use your assets as you go about your daily life. And all the tech we've been learning about here today are enabling those kind of things. We are not at this inflection point where we can start building these things. Why 15 years after the Bitcoin white paper is it still not possible to send someone a digital euro to their phone number, like you do with peer-to-peer payments in Web 2? So how are we doing on this journey? Well, Bitcoin might be, as a white paper, at least 15 years old, but our industry is still in its infancy, albeit a couple of years under its belt. Last year, according to Chainalysis, 3.8 million was lost in hacks. That is not a sign of a mature industry, so we still have a lot of work to do. And so now is the point where I'll start talking a little bit about how we're addressing this and how we're trying to move towards this with zeal. At Zeal, we're building a permission-free digital wallet for daily life. So MetaMask is digital and permission-free, but you can't really buy beers or pay rent with it. At Revolut, we were building a digital wallet for your daily life, indeed, for your rent, and it was smooth and convenient. But it wasn't permission-free, it's very much a permissioned wallet. And of course, your good old trusted cash wallet is permission-free. You can spend your cash as you see fit, and you can use it for your daily life, but it didn't have the convenience of digital. And that is what we are moving towards. But the first step to get there is to tackle problems that are very tangible right here, right today. And so we think about people that are Web3 builders or freelancers, what we call crypto earners. People are using crypto today as a real finance, not as speculative asset class, not only at least, but also think about this is the future of finance, to use one of our cliches in our industry. And so this is the wallet that we have live today in the Chrome store. And I'll go through some of the features here just to show that we have today feature or 10x parity versus the basic feature sets of this browser wallet, which is what we have live today. First off, our wallet works wherever MetaMask works. So we connect to the normal APIs of MetaMask. We have support for all EVMs, so anything you can find on Chainlist, you can also use in Zeal. When you load up Zeal, we show you all tokens and NFTs and also DeFi positions that exist for your wallet. We compared all the different service providers, and we found DBank had a pretty good data feed. So right now, what you're getting here is a combination of DBank's data feed as well as our own data lake on top of that, so we can ensure that you have the best coverage of both tokens, NFT, and DeFi positions, and also very, very snappy performance to boot. Then back to those graphs showing lots of hacks and what we can do about that. A lot of people today are installing extra plugins to manage security checks on sites and transactions. We have built-in safety checks whenever you connect. So when you connect to a site, we verify it against a number of different heuristics. And also recently, last week, we integrated Blockades feed, which after extensive benchmarking on different security providers, we found that they had the snappiest and best coverage. So you get both a combination of our first-party safety checks and Blockades safety checks. Once you're connected to a dApp and you want to make a transaction, then we make safety checks on the transactions too. We check if there's any funny tokens going in and out of your wallet. We check the payload so you don't accidentally send off tokens to someone else. We also check the transaction, the contract that you're interacting with, whether there's any issues with the contract that you're interacting with. And just a simple UX thing, when you're about to send your transaction, we show you a simulated version of that transaction. So we show you what's going out of your wallet and what's coming into your wallet in a very simple, human-readable language. And when you submit the transaction, no longer does that model disappear into the background, and you have to load up Block Explorer to find where that transaction went and whether it got confirmed or not. We show you your transaction's path on the chain to getting to first and second confirmation as a status bar, which sounds like a small thing, but it's surprising how many people are delighted when they can see what actually happens with a transaction without having to chase it. And then, this is a really cool thing. We have launched the Zeal Companion, which basically is an instantiation of your wallet on each tab and each dApp independently. Okay, what does that mean? It means that each dApp, each tab, has its own wallet and network state. And that means that on one tab, you can be on Gnosis Safe with one wallet that you often use for multi-sig transactions. And on Uniswap on another tab, you can be on another network with whatever wallet you want there. That way you can manage all this independently rather than enforcing a single state across all the different tabs, which can create some delightful jank otherwise. This is also the hub on every dApp where you can always see how you're connected, the safety status of the dApp that you're connected to. And then privacy against RPC data storage. So we basically shield all transaction details from RPCs with what we think of as an integrated VPN. So transactions are funneled through our backend, which we don't store any data on, which allows you to stay anonymous and safe when you're interacting with different networks out there. And then some other features. We have integrated swaps with 1inch and 0x. We have integrated routing across all the different bridges with sockets. And so basically, you can always get the best and fastest rate when you want to swap between different assets and even different assets on different chains. And we don't charge any added fees on top of that. So you don't have to go to the dApp to do it. You can just get it straight in the wallet at the best rates, whether it's a swap or a bridge, all integrated seamlessly. And now we get to the part where, so far, this is all cool, this is all great, and this allows us to be the smoothest transaction experience you've ever seen in Web3, but I talked about everyday daily finance, right? So what does that mean? Where just the App Store version we pushed live a couple of days ago now have instant free bank transfers. And so what this means, you've heard probably Gnosis Pay a lot recently, right? And this is not Gnosis Pay, by the way, but we have now instant SEPA transfers. We do USDC on Polygon to euro or pounds within Europe and the UK. And because it's instant SEPA and fast payments, we're looking at sub 1 minute for making these transactions. This is, we don't charge any fees below 5,000 per month. We've understood from some of our research that crypto earners typically, if you want to be able to pay rent and pay some food, that's up to like 5K a month. So you can do that at the interbank rate even. We're using the same tactic that we did with Revolut in the beginning, which is offering free FX between dollars in this case and euros and pounds. And just to show you how incredibly smooth this UX is, the first couple of transactions, you don't even need to do KYC. You can off-ramp. Actually, we don't call it off-ramp. We call it bank transfers because in order to normalize these as part of your daily finance, there shouldn't be a ramp. You shouldn't move money on and off something. You should just be making transfers between your different accounts, some of them on-chain and some of them off-chain. And so, yeah, this can be tried out today if any of you are up for giving it a whirl. What's coming up next? We're in private beta We have a couple of hundred users, and we're doing sessions almost every day where we're doing customer interviews to hear what people like and what they don't like. And we're soon going to move into public beta, and then start working or get closer to shipping our mobile app and smart wallets. Hello, Nassis, dear hosts. And all of this, one of the many things it can enable is for you to tap into tokenized assets. The title of this talk was Buying Coffee with Treasuries. And that's just one of the many things that's possible with the composable assets within DeFi, right? Why should you be forced to just use dollars or euros or pounds to pay for your rent or your coffee? Just spend your tokenized treasures that are essentially fungible on-chain. As this is an audience of builders, and we love to get feedback, if anyone wants to grab time with us and share your thoughts, both on the product as well as how you interact with Web3, we'd love to grab time. We set up a vanity URL that leads to Typeform, which basically provides early access. But we'd also love to meet with you to have a conversation about what you like and what you don't like, and build the best possible Web3 experience, not just for Web3 and dApps, but for your daily lives, so that you can work with Web3 always. And yeah, that's it.
Thank you. Okay, do we have any questions?
Hi, will it be, do you see your product existing standalone, or are you looking for people to integrate it into other services?
Well, we're not a white label solution, if that's what you mean. So it is its own brand, its own product at the moment, yeah. Yeah, but love to talk with distribution partners if that's what you're hinting at.
Okay, and the mobile version, you think it'll be the same full features as what you described today?
We have mobile as a form factor enables a couple of other really cool things that you can't do on desktop. So it won't be the same. There will be even more cool things that will do with that. But I'll leave the details a bit unsaid for now, because that's part of the magic sauce as well.
Thanks.
But as you can see, the app itself almost looks like a mobile app already. So in terms of UI and UX, will probably will not look that dissimilar.
Hi, and thanks for the talk. I would like to ask if you see at any point in the near future, from a user perspective, when you receive, for example, whatever token you might receive at whatever chain or layer 2, all these things being transparent to the user, and you only see that you received USDC or whatever, and don't have to care about which layer or which chain, and you can do transactions without caring about this stuff. Do you see that coming?
So creating chain agnostic assets where you kind of aggregate all your balances across multiple chains when there's, if there's, say, like a canonical USDC on all the different chains. There's been some experiments with some wallets to do that, and I think there are some benefits to that. Long term, I think people will think of their dollars as just digital dollars, and they will not realize that they are on this or that chain. And yeah, then that chain aspect will disappear in the background. But that probably also means that you'll see a concentration of more and more assets into a few chains, possibly depending on dApps that are available. That's my prognosis. So 5 years from now, when a much larger proportion of society uses digital dollars to pay for their food and the rent, will they have that spread out across 10 different chains? Probably not. You're probably going to have a power law, an extreme power law, where it's concentrating in a couple.
Okay. Well, then, thank you for the talk. Thank you, Hannes.
Thank you.